So today's session we are going to look at how we use SPSS. Okay, SPSS stands for Statistical Package for Social Sciences. Most researchers use this tool. So the way SPSS works is that anybody can use it. You don't need to be a programmer for you to actually start using it. You can the biggest advantage with the tool is that a researcher, the way he or she intuitively thinks, the tool is built similarly like that. So whatever you want to define, whatever you want to run, the user experience is fairly easy. You don't need to write programs. I mean, if you are a programmer, you can still write programs, but it is not necessary that you need to know programming to be able to run the data on SPSS. Okay, so that's the biggest advantage with SPSS. And most researchers use this. Both academic researchers as well as market researchers in the industry use this tool because it is easy for us to use. Okay, so now what I will do is I will first show you how it works with respect to how is the data structure, how do you define the data structure, how it gets stored and all that, and then let's look at analysis. Okay, so I have got a sample data with me here. So if you look at if you look at the screen, this is how a typical window, SPSS data window looks like. Okay, it is in a format called .sav. In your Excel, you have got .xlsx, .xls. So here the data file would be in the format of .sav. And then for every data file that you open, an output file also gets opened. Okay, so I'll close this output. Okay. As and when I'm running something, the output file automatically opens and the output tables start showing in the output file. That would be in the format of .spo. So the way I know you all must be knowing that there are. You go to the Windows icon, search for SPSS if SPSS is installed in your machine, and then the data file opens. Now what you're seeing in front of you is a data file where I have already defined the variables, where I have already fed in some data. Okay, so there are two windows here. Within this one data window, there are two windows. Okay, one is a data view, the other one is a variable view. The data view has got all the data that you need, whatever you have in your Excel, wherever after you get your responses, it is stored in the data view. So every row is a respondent's answers to the questionnaire, and every column is a question. Right? So that's how the data view is. Now you look at the variable view. This shows the definition of every column. So every variable, every question that you have in the data view, you can define here saying that column number 1 is this, column number 2 is this, column number 3 is this. Why do we do this? We do this because in the data view, we normally look at the data as codes. It is entered as codes. So whether you run an online survey through Google Forms or SurveyMonkey or Qualtrics or whatever it is, while for the respondent the options will look like a text. In the backend it gets stored as numbers. Okay, so the data view is fully numbers. Whatever you have got here, whatever you have downloaded from or exported from any of those online survey tools. Before online came into picture, we used to do this manually, right? So the questionnaires, if you have noticed our questionnaires where we had taken questionnaire design session, we had codes for every question. For every option there would be code, right? For every brand. So there are 5 brands, each brand will have a code. So the codes only get data entered in the data file. So we have to define the codes again in the variable view, saying 1 pertains to brand 1, 2 pertains to brand 2, and so on and so forth. So that is how it used to be done when it was done manually. Today, since we are capturing everything online, we have got survey tools that also does the same way. Okay. Minimum string usage. Okay. Mostly it is only codes. We don't have string as a backend, because it becomes that much more difficult for you to manage the data. When it is in numeric format, it is easier to manage the data. Okay. That's really the logic why. So you look at the data view here. These are the, I'm just scrolling up. This is a sample data of about 200 responses from just a sample study, and this is about soaps. We've asked people which brands of soaps are they aware of, which brands, and we show them some ads, ask them if they recall the ad, if they recognize the brand name correctly after seeing the ad, and which is their favorite brand, which is the most often used brand, and are they satisfied with their current brand of soap? Are they satisfied on various parameters of lathering and softness on skin, ability to stand for a long time, whether the soap comes for a long time, and so on and so forth. And we've got one question on media habits. What kind of TV, newspaper, what kind of media do they consume? I'm just showing you different kinds of questions in the same data file so that I can show you different kinds of analysis that we normally perform, basic analysis that we normally perform using this. Okay. So look at the data view. Serial number is the first column, age group is the second column, city is the third, then there is NCCS, New Consumer Classification System. You can ignore this NCCS recoded for the time being, because there is a specific function which allows us to recode things. So I will demonstrate that a little later. And then you look at this, it says S1, Q 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. These are all the names that we have given for each column. So why do we give 1.1, 1.2? It's again, we are minimizing text. When we are giving names, we say S1 is section 1, this Q1 is question 1. In that, the first option is 0.1, the second option is 0.2, third option is 0.3, 0.4. So different people follow different styles of naming this. This is just one style of naming the variables, that's it. Okay. You can equally call it Tom, UA, etc., etc., but it will have a whole lot of text. So, I mean, when you know that this is a questionnaire you're working with, these are the question numbers, it is that much more easier, intuitively easier for us to look up for those kind of questions, even when you have to later on perform other kind of functions. So, which is why we name it like this. So, these are all the columns, right? Like we earlier saw, there are two kinds of questions. There is a single response question, there is a multiple response question. A single response question is where the respondent can give only one answer. So, which brand of soap do you use now, currently, right? How satisfied are you with the current soap that you are using, current brand of soap that you are using? Whereas, if you have to ask multiple response, if there is a multiple response question would go like, which brands of soap have you used in the past? So you could have used more than one brand of soap, so you could give more than one answer, right? So that's a multiple response question. Or which brands of soap are you aware of? You can again give more than one brand as an answer. So there are two types of questions, single response and multiple response questions. So now I'll go to the variable view to tell you which of these are single response, which of these are multiple response, and how I have actually defined each of these columns. Okay. So first one is serial number, straightforward. What is this type? What kind of variable it is? String or numeric? All of these are numeric. We don't have string. It is not necessary that every time we ask a question, it will always be numeric. There are questions like you would have seen in the brand health session that we had taken, that the questionnaire had got unaided brand, top of mind brand awareness and unaided brand awareness. So those were spontaneous answers that respondents would give, right? And those are captured as string responses, and then we code them with a set of code numbers given for each of these brands. right? For example, we say, one is Synthol, 2 is Dove, and so on and so forth, depending on what kind of answer. So that's what we have done in this particular data file that I am showing you. I am not showing you the string here. I am showing you only the coded data file, because the purpose of this session is only to do the analysis and understanding SPSS. Okay. So first is serial number. It's a numeric type. What is width? Width is how many digits, how many characters can it have. Okay. So 4 characters, no decimal point. Label is again serial number. What are the values? In the sense, values are where you define the codes. So you look at this column. If for serial number there is no need for putting values, so we will go to the next variable. Second is the age group. Again, this is numeric. Okay, width is 8 up to 8 characters. You can define. We are giving the label of age group, age hyphen group. Okay, and values here we are saying there are 3 codes here. 2 is 26 to 35 years. 3 is 36 to 45 years, 4 is 46 to 55 years. Okay. So the way you do it is you just click on this. Let me just show you. You click on this. Okay. One second. Copy and paste it here. So this becomes blank, correct? So I click on this. It's totally blank. So I say 2 is 26 to 35 years. And say enter. 3 is 36 to 45 years, and I say add, and 4 is 46 to 55 years. I say add, and I say OK. Now, in case you have made a mistake, in case you want to change this, you could still do that. So if I say instead of years, I want to say YRS. I can change it. I click on this, change it here, and say change. It will change. I want it back as years. I want the full form. I can change it here and say change. Okay, it's simple. Okay. Now there is something called the measure here. Is it a nominal scale? Is it a nominal variable or a scale variable or a ordinal variable? It gives you 3 options. Since age group is not ordinal, age group is not scale, right? Age group is nominal, so we say nominal. Okay. So based on the way we define each of these variables, it will allow you or not allow you to do some of the functions. So if it is a scale variable, it will allow you to run mean score and standard deviation. If it is not a scale variable, it will not suggest that by default. So, nominal variable, again it will allow you to do percentages. Next is city, again numeric 8 characters, respondent city is a name. One thing I wanted to observe is that under name, we shouldn't use any space or special characters. No space, no special characters. Dot is allowed, underscore is allowed. Right? Underscore is there, dot is there, but no space, no other special characters, and or no, none of these are applicable here. Okay, so respondent city, again here we have said 1 is Mumbai, 3 is Delhi, 7 is Kolkata, 8 is Chennai, 9 is Bangalore. Now you would ask me, why is it not in order? No specific reason. Now since it's nominal variable, since each of these you can give any code number, right? I just want to demonstrate the fact that it can be any code number. It need not be only in order, right? So the way it reads the data is, if you say read 3 as Delhi NCR, it will always return saying this is in this order of the codes. It will give you the output. Okay. The next is NCCS. Here we would have A1, A2, A3, B1, B2. So for this study, it is only A and B NCCS that we have taken. So only these 5 NCCS segments that we have. I'll skip this. The next variable is top of mind awareness. So when I talk about soaps, which is the first brand that comes to your mind, is the question. Now label, under the column label, I have said top of mind awareness, TOM awareness. If you want to say that you want to have the full question here, you could keep the full question here. That is also okay. Okay. You could say this. But since it's easier for us to read and run the data, we call it top of mind awareness. Okay. Now, okay, I just pressed save, so the output window has opened here. .spo. Okay, it's unsaved output window. So, okay, under top of mind awareness, I have defined the brands that people have given. So 3 is Synthol, 4 is Dove, 5 is Hammam, 6 is Pears. Why 3, 4, 5, 6? Again, no specific logic. I've just given those code numbers in the questionnaire. I followed the same code numbers here. That's it. You can use any numbers. That doesn't matter. You can use any numbers, but normally we start with 1. I just wanted to establish the fact that for SPSS it doesn't matter whether it starts with 1 or whether it starts with 3. As long as you define that this is the code and this is the value for that code, value label for that code, it is going to read it in that fashion. But normally when we write questionnaires, we start with 1 and we don't give gaps. But even in, say for example, somewhere while writing multiple drafts, you miss out one code, or you reduce the number of brands by 2 or 3, and you have to sort of remove the codes, and rearranging would be a problem. You can still go without those 2 codes. That doesn't matter. Okay. So this is the first question: which brand comes to your mind first? Now, apart from this one brand, which other brands of soap are you aware of? Is the other question, is the next question. So this is other unaided. Top of mind is also unaided. It's a spontaneous unaided question. This is other unaided. Second, third, fourth, fifth mentions come under here. So this S1Q 1.1 up to 1.6 is one multiple response question. Now all this while age group, city, NCCS were all single response. Right? A person can belong to only one age group, can belong to only one city, can belong to only one NCCS segment. But a person can remember multiple brands of soap, right? Can be aware of multiple brands of soap. So this is a multiple response question. So in SPSS what we do is we define saying these 6 columns together should be taken as one multiple response question. And then we analyze that multiple response question. We don't run this by column. We don't say run only S1Q 1.1 or run S1Q 1.2. We first define saying take S1Q 1.1 to 1.6 as one multiple response question. And then once we define that multiple response question, we run that multiple response question, which gets saved in SPSS, the data files memory. Okay. So this is about multiple response question. So the next question is ad recognition. Whether have you seen this ad? So we show the ad stills and ask them, have they seen it? If they have seen it, do they recognize the correct brand for this ad? So we've done similarly for Dove, Hammam, Pears, 3 brands we've done here. And the way we have given the scale for that, so again this is a output from the answers that people have given us. There are four ways to classify the responses. One is people who have not seen the ad, who say that they have not seen the ad. 2 is people who have said that they have seen the ad, but they recall the wrong brand name and not Dove or Synthol or Pears or Lux or whatever it is. 3 is people who have seen the ad, but they say they don't remember the brand name. Okay, and 4 is people who say that they've seen the ad and remember the correct brand name. So these are the 4 kinds of responses that you get for ad recognition questions. So this is for these three brands. After having asked ad recognition comes aided awareness. So we ask people, are you aware of this? I have a set of brands. Are you aware of these brands? So again, same set of 4 brands. This is just for example, okay? Synthol, Dove, Hamam pairs. And here again, it is a multiple response answer, right? You can be aware of more than one brand. So these 4 together would be one multiple response variable of aided awareness. Okay. And then which brand do they use mainly? Which is their favorite brand? And then overall satisfaction with the, overall satisfaction with the brand of soap that they are using currently. Satisfaction with the smell, satisfaction with the lather, satisfaction with keeping the skin soft, satisfaction with whether it stays for a long, whether the soap is, staying for a long time without being able, without without having to replace it every now and then. Okay. And then finally, which media do they consume? TV, newspaper, and so on and so forth. So these are the options. TV is 1, 2 is newspaper, 3 is magazine, 4 is radio, 5 is OTT, 6 is YouTube, 7 social media, 8 are news apps. Okay. So there are 8 columns here, 1 for each media that they would consume. Multiple response. This is again multiple responses. This most often used brand, favorite brand, satisfaction, all these are single response questions.
Satisfaction or also multiple response?
No, single, no. You can either say you are dissatisfied or satisfied. You can't say I'm satisfied and dissatisfied.
No, satisfied, but smell,
lather,
keeping skin soft. This also comes in multiple response.
No. Each of these is a separate parameter. For each parameter, you are going to indicate whether you are happy or not, whether you are satisfied or not. Okay. So let us see how we can define. So let's define unaided first. Okay, S1Q 1.1 to 1.6 here. Okay. So I say I go to analyze. I say custom tables. And I go to multiple response sets. Okay. I select these 6 variables here. So there is a full set of whatever variables are available in the data set is shown on the box on the left side. So I select all these 6 variables and I say select these 6 variables and put them here on the box on the right. Okay. And I say take them as categories. There's something called dichotomies. Dichotomies are where people can answer as 1 or 2 for every option. They either say no or yes. That's not the way we have asked this question. We have asked them which brands are you aware of. So we've not. It's not that they for Synthol say yes or no. For Dove say yes or no. That's not the way we have asked this question, right? So it is categories. We give a name, again similar to what we had seen in the variable rule where every variable had a name and a label, right? Here again there is a set name, multiple set name, multiple response set name and multiple response set label. So I can say this is S1Q1, okay, and I can say this is unaided awareness. Here again it will not accept space or special characters, it will accept dots, it will accept underscore, but no space or special characters in the set name. Set label, of course, you can give anything you feel like, right? You can have question marks, you can have anything, and it can be any length, it doesn't matter. So having done this, I'm saying add. It gets added here along with the prefix of $. So whenever a multiple response set is defined, it gets defined with the prefix of $. Okay. One second, I'm going to remove this and just define it again. I say OK. Once I say OK, my output file, right? This is the output file. I have not saved this output file. It says this is the multiple response set. This has been defined. So it is saying that this is the name of the variable. This is the label of the variable. It is coded as categories. You can ignore this. Data type is numeric. And what are the variables that have gone into definition of this variable? Which is, it has again taken the labels from the, it has not taken the name. Wherever labels were not available for 3, 4, 5, 6, it has taken the name. Wherever labels were available for the first and second variables, it has taken the labels. Okay. So let us look at how we run basic outputs from this.